Hello and welcome to the Breaking Free podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Francis, and today I'm very grateful, very humbly joined by Nereeda Mcinnes. Nereeda has interviewed a lot of people that I've interviewed on my show. So I haven't interviewed Madeline Daldy yet, but she's interviewed a good friend of mine, Madeline Dale, the nature man who I had on a couple of weeks ago. So I was looking at her content. I don't know how I found her content, probably just through Dale. And then I was like, well, this content's awesome. Why can't we collaborate, come together and interview each other and share some awesome insights, some powerful stories, and some awesome chin wags, as Nereeda calls them. Nereeda is a podcast host herself, so she has Rock the Ripple. There'll be is it Rock the Ripple? Yep, Rock the Ripple.
Yeah,
There'll be a link down the bottom to that podcast for those to go and have a look at. Frequency Shift Journal. She's an author, she's a coach, she's a mentor. She wears a lot of hats, so that's really good, just like myself. We're going to have an awesome chat today about her story and how she got to where she is now and her hopes and dreams for the future, and maybe some yarns and some chin wags and wherever else we go. So, Nereeda, welcome to my show today. Thank you for being here and thank you for your time, and take it away. Share your story, how you got to where you are now and what you had to overcome. And yeah, let's just get rocking and rolling into your story, I reckon.
Awesome. Let's do it. Thank you first up for having me, Nathan.
No worries.
Show. Great. Like I said before, the shoe is on the other foot. So I'm like being interviewed, they're having the chin wag in reverse, but it's really cool. So thanks for having me.
No worries.
Yeah. So I guess a bit about me. I am a podcast host. I've created the Frequency Shift Journal, which is more than just a journal, by the way. It is a journal, a planner, a mindset and alignment tool, and we use that to reprogram our subconscious mind for our version of success. So also have the Frequency Shift app, so people can use and keep track of their activations on that, and the Frequency Shift Mastermind as well. So that's a group container that I work with awesome and epic humans, and it's like a quarterly mastermind as well. So yeah, where do we start?
Oh, I reckon we start from the beginning. So when I started my journey, it was like I'd learn the truths of the world. And then it's like, okay, you learn all that and you go through all the rabbit holes, and then you sort of bounce back up and you go, well, what are the truths that exist within me? And it sort of starts the healing journey. That was sort of how it happened for me. Being different for a lot of people that I've interviewed, Nereeda. So how was that for you, I guess? What sort of started you off on this journey? Basically? Yeah. What was your first thing where you're like, okay, something's not right here?
Yeah. Well, I think that something's not right here definitely was when I was a youngster, but not really sort of conscious of it. Like I just remember, and I think I said this on my chat with Dale too, is I just remember sitting in a room and having this feeling of heaviness, and I didn't know why, and I was quite young, and it's like, I mean, I don't know. I was like reflecting back. It was like I knew that there was some shit to come, but I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know that was a personal level or on a global level, if you know what I mean. And then, just lived life and did everything. And then probably 9/11, I think for me, like I just sort of went, I remember saying to my mum, hey, Mum, do you reckon that's an inside job? Like, and we sort of just left it at that. And then I guess my awakening, to things going on in the world was like a gradual sort of domino effect. So like a seed was planted here, a seed was planted there, and just along the way, I would discover things. So I guess I was lucky in that way, because it was just sort of, whereas some people, I think like yourself, I think it was like a full Band-Aid being ripped off all in one go. So, so it's like totally crazy. So I don't know which way would be better, but
mine was brutal.
Yeah, it would have been brutal if you're kind of getting everything at once. Like
basically. About 6 months I got everything and then started the healing journey.
Yeah. Well, see, that's interesting too, because my thing was I really got into personal development first. Yeah. So that's, working on myself, discovering different people, just sort of wanting to better myself, always wanted to just be a better version, but also having gone through a lot of stuff as well. And then eventually into sort of getting to that place where you're like, why the frick isn't this stuff working? And then discovering the power of our subconscious mind, going, oh, that's the missing piece. But it's like I had to go through so much shit first. But at the same time, I was healing along the way too. So I trust the divine timing. I trust all of that. So that's sort of why I think those sort of things happen the way they do. So I guess if anyone's listening there, wherever they are, I always feel like you are exactly where you're meant to be for your next level of evolution, basically. So yeah, that's
good
sort of
piece of
sum it up.
advice. That's a good piece of advice at the end there. I like that. Because I hear that all the time, and it's like a reminder for me to be like, well, you are where you're supposed to be. I know when we were trying to make our dream happen of being up where we are now, it's like you are where you're supposed to be, but it's like kind of felt like I wasn't. I want to be up here, and then so that's really awesome advice, and it's just another little reminder for me to hear that again, I think.
Yeah. Well, we are, aren't we? But you can be like, maybe you've felt this too, like you get really frustrated. Like I know along the way, frustrated, and obviously I've had to go through that to be able to help people with that.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
I'll just like my head would be banging against the wall. I'm like, what the frick can't I just like, it's like, can't make this happen. Or, like, why can't I get clarity here? But when you're in those spots, it's like, actually, this is a really cool spot to be in because the clarity is just going to come at the end of this.
Yeah.
And, so when you're in those shitty spots, the good stuff is just around the corner as well.
People have those dreams and those ambitions of being something better. It's like, well, what's holding you back? Is it a little child? Is it some anger, some fear, some resentment? And it's like, you got to shed that darkness that exists within you. Where are you not being honest with yourself as well? Where are you lying? Like, it's like people have these dreams and these big things, but it's like, what keeps them stuck are those things. It's like you shed all of that. Yeah, it's painful. It's like you shed that, then the light's like there. It's like right there. It's like you just got that darkness there. And that's sort of what's happening in the world right now. I don't know how you see it, but I see it as Mother Earth shedding her darkness, shedding her evil force, her whatever, for us to then go and be like, okay, well, Mother Earth's doing her thing. That's time. Well, we're part of Mother Earth. We're a compressed fractal of that. So we need to shed our shit to then help that process. Is that how you see it, or interesting topic of discussion?
Oh, totally. Yeah, love it. No, I do. I see it that way too. It's like Mother Earth is giving birth,
Correct.
and like in that time, there's just shit flying everywhere, and it's not always sexy and pretty. But at the end of it, there's something beautiful, and like we were saying, everyone's where they're supposed to be. Where I like to look at it as we're removing layers. We're removing the layers that are no longer serving us. If we want to see humanity thrive, then we ourselves must thrive because everything begins within. So each and every one of us, it's up to us to do the work if we want to. And I don't think everyone is on the planet to do that work. I think there's a lot of us that are here for that purpose, and we all have our own, I guess, I don't want to say mission, but we've all got our own piece of the puzzle, and we make up this tapestry of life. And so each of us are here to do our part, whatever that looks like,
Yeah, I agree. But how do you, that's an interesting topic where you say some people aren't here to do that. It's like, I feel like, well, I know I am actually. I don't feel anymore. I used to feel like that, but I know now that I'm an old soul. It's like, my last dance is right now. So it's like, I feel like this is your last life too. So it's like we're doing our bit now to shed everything we need to shed, learn. I've literally put it out there. I want to learn everything. It's like, there's a lot of new souls, and then I know when we talk about the soul journey, it's like some of these souls are here just to have that experience to then progress there. It's like an evolution thing, isn't it? We've come so far that we're helping others get their evolution. I don't know. Are we helping them quicken, I guess you could say?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And I guess frequency, we're all at different frequencies, and where they match, we resonate, and those that don't, and none is better or worse, by the way, got to say that. Because, we're all like, gosh, I've said it 3 times that we're supposed to be, but I mean, like we have the 25,000 year cycles or whatever. And
we're at the end of this one, I think.
Hey?
We're at the end of this one?
Yeah. I don't know the exact dates or anything, but I know that we're at the end of the cycle. And maybe at the end of the last cycle, we were the people who decided that we'll do another cycle. You know what I mean? So I guess we just have to, where we're at, and we're here just helping and supporting each other. And like you said, like this is our last hurrah in this lifetime, perhaps. I just feel
like it is.
Yeah, I think so too. But yeah, not everyone will feel that either. So I mean, for us, it's to just bring to life what it is that we want to bring to life and help others to do the same. And really, it's more of a co-creation. We're co-creating with people when we're doing this. Like everyone has these gifts and gold nuggets within, and they're exactly who they're supposed to be. And when they let that shine, that is the shit that raises the vibration of the planet. That is the stuff that creates that ripple and rocks a ripple in that way. You know what I mean?
Pardon the pun.
Pardon the pun.
I actually agree with that too. It's like we have all these innate abilities, and then we get programmed from the TV, from news and media, and all this like social media and all this shit. It's like, and school's a big one. If we could go about school later, but it's like we get programmed from all these things to turn out to distract us from becoming who we're supposed to be. Like everyone's just in the matrix system, day in, day out, doing their thing to keep a roof over their head and do all this stuff. It's like it's just like a hamster on the wheel. You just keep going and going and going and going and going, and you're not really getting anywhere.
No,
because
you're not.
The government steals half your money, and then you retire. And I don't know whether this is deemed conspiracy or not, but the government's people out there, the supers are gone, or your stuff that you retire on's gone. That's what whole COVID was. It was a distraction away from them taking that. So it's like you do all this work for 30, 40, 50 years and there's nothing there to show for it.
Unless you flip it on its head and then you go for what you want to go for.
Exactly.
And it's like, to me, life is a bit of a game. And so how each of us choose to play it is totally up to us. And we've all played different parts along the way, and no doubt we'll have more parts to play as we go forward. We don't know what that will look like, but I mean, what were you talking about before? You were talking about school. Yes, the systems as well. Obviously, everything is designed in the game to keep you from tapping into the power of who you really are. And so when you can see, you see in the movies, not only is it truth in plain sight, but it's also subliminal messages. It's also got, those things in there to keep you thinking one way and not the other. There's so much. But when you become more aware of it, which I think is also becoming more self-aware, it's a beautiful thing. And you can see things for what they are, and you're forever learning as well. That's something I'm forever learning. I learn from people in conversations. I learn from, I love to learn new things. And that's what, I don't know, that just helps us to become more of who we are. And you might one day think something and then the next day be challenged on it, and you'd be like, actually, I never thought of that way. Now I see it from a different point of view.
And they're the conversations that like we should be having as well. Like we're too busy fighting over the shape of the world, too busy fighting over what's in this thing in your left and right arm, too busy fighting over like all these things that are so mundane. But we can all find common ground. The common ground's freedom. So I agree with I don't know if you've heard what Max Egan says, but when he says that, I'm like, that resonates with me. He says that we're too busy fighting over the shape of the world, fighting over all this shit to keep us distracted. Why don't we all come together for freedom, to establish freedom first, and then we can fight over the rest once we have freedom, and then we can work out what is really going on here.
Yeah.
Like we're all fighting over what happened in 9/11. We're all fighting over what's going on underground. We're all fighting over whether this is, I know it's a dome over us, but we're all fighting over all these things that are so mundane. It's like, let's all come together from a place of love, forgiveness, and freedom, establish that, and then we can work out what's going on here.
Yeah.
How do you see it?
Yeah, well, you're right. Everything can be a distraction, and it can take us off our course. And again, depending on where you're at your journey, you might need to go down that path in order to then not go down that path, if that makes sense. And Max is great too. I love how he says face infinity without flinching.
I got goosebumps. Love me when he says that.
Yeah, and so I mean, ultimately, if we in a moment, in a flash, if everyone just said, I choose freedom, because we're energetic beings, like that would be it. It would be done.
It's so simple as to how powerful we are. If we all had said no to this shit, it wouldn't have happened. And if everyone on a mass level, there's only like a few thousand of them and like 6 billion of us. If we all just said, you know what, fuck this, I'm not going to work today. fuck this, I'm not paying my bills today. If everyone collectively did that, show's over.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is.
It's so easy, yet it's like
Okay.
the people are so attached to their shit.
Yeah.
Materialistic things, you know?
Yeah. I remember as well, like I remember having that feeling, and I went overseas. So this is probably, I can't remember how many years ago now. And I was on this boat, and there were so many different people there from so many different countries. And I just thought, you know, us saying, yeah, it'd be great just to go, nah, that's done, we choose freedom. I'm looking at all these different people, and I just had this feeling of like, everyone is not going to be on the same page here. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
it's the programming.
It was, but it was an interesting moment. You gotta love being overseas and just having those different moments, don't you?
I went overseas 4 years ago before COVID started.
Yeah.
We can talk about it in my interview, but I sort of partied a lot and didn't really have the eyes I have now. It's like I would appreciate that so much more now, because I know what's really going on in some of those buildings. We didn't build those, and I was walking around on those tours with my friends, and I was like, we had debates about it, because I always saw things differently anyway. I was like, that we didn't build them. Our culture never built those.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, like when you do think back, like I do, same here, like there's different times in my life of like, if the version of Nereeda now was back there, and then you think about it's like those 80s montages that they do, and you go, oh my gosh, I really need to see that again. But we all have that. We all have those times as well, you know, and that's all part of it. It's all part of shaping who we become.
So in terms of shaping who we become, how did you shape into who you've become to get to where you are now? So with your story, we're just going to circle back. So you led down the 9/11 path.
Yeah,
so that was sort of your
just
awakening.
a moment in time. Yeah, so I think it was just like a slow, and then like sped up after do you know what I mean?
Yep.
After time, I went into personal development. And in probably just I was working in the corporate world, and then just about, I'm going to say almost 10 years ago now, I had this pull to leave. Like I had to go. Like I could have stayed a bit longer, but I didn't. And my soul was just like, you need to get the hell out now. So I left with like a mortgage and no website, no clients. It was like I had to throw myself into the middle of a lake and just be thrown into the water and just swim back to shore. Like, I did do that. I wouldn't recommend it for everyone, that's for sure. But I just had to follow my intuition. I was being pulled or pushed, and and then just have made it work and learned so much about myself in that time as well. And I think like putting a lot of the personal development stuff to that test as well, I guess, because you sort of, when you go out on your own, you really are out on your own, and you have to rely on yourself for everything. And it's massive. And so I've definitely learned so much about myself in that way. And really sort of, I guess for me, like overcoming those times, and we still work on, you know, am I good enough to do this? Can I do this? You know, like that, all that sort of programming as well, like all of that as well. So it's just been quite the journey along the way.
Sounds like you had some deep programming in like system programming. We all have that from school, don't we? It's like be one thing.
Yeah.
I had a great mentor tell me that, Nathan, you don't need to just be one thing. You can be and do multiple things. And when I heard that, I was off. See you later.
Yeah.
It's how like good is that program's so deep though, isn't it? To be one thing.
Yeah, it is. And also like,
because that's where the self-doubt and the self-confidence issues stem from.
Yeah.
Because you're doing something different to what you're programmed to do. So then the subconscious is like, well, this is uncomfortable. This is unfamiliar, because my repetitive programming was, you're this one thing. This is what you're doing. It's like, well, you've turned your back on that now. You're heading into some dark waters. They're not dark waters. You're making them dark because of the self-confidence programming repetition from school.
Yeah. And it's not just from school too. It's from like
Parents.
parents, but family, society, but also ancestral stuff and the stuff that you've brought through. So
Yes.
I know a lot of the stuff that I came through with, I mean, it wasn't even mine, like it was in my lineage, and I've done a lot of healing on that as well too. And I think so many of us like have gone through times of just feeling like you're not good enough, and that it's okay that other people are doing well because they deserve it, but for some reason you don't. And I think that's a really underlying thing that has run through and come through society for a lot of people. And then when you recognize that, like, it can be, I've said this so many times, but a lot of us have big ships to turn around. We have big ships to turn around, and you can have that catalyst moment where you're like, nah, fuck it, I'm not worrying about it anymore. But for a lot of us, it's like a process of really unwinding and realigning where we're supposed to be, and to really see the beauty in who we are in the same way that we see the beauty in everyone else.
It's interesting, isn't it? I just had a moment there. I got goosebumps, and then I just had a moment. You sort of helped me with something there. I don't know what you just did then, but that was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Awesome.
Because it's like we see what we see in others, we see in ourselves. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think so many of us have self-doubt. Like I've had all the things I'm talking about. I've not felt that I was deserving, didn't think I was good enough, would have all of those things, and people may or may not have recognized it. But when you don't recognize it, like when you're growing up as a youngster and you don't realize that, you think it is you think you are that thing. You think you are the person who doesn't deserve stuff, when really that's just a pattern and program, as you and I both know, from our subconscious mind. And it's, people pleasers are born when they don't want to have stuff happen, when trauma happens, when all that sort of stuff happens. We develop these patterns and programs to keep us safe, which as we get older, and they might have kept us safe in that moment, but we've kept it. And then when we get older, it doesn't serve us anymore. And so part of what I do, and I know you do this stuff too, is working with people just to unprogram and rewire our subconscious mind to be what it is that we do want. And when you step into that power and be more of who you are, it's a beautiful thing.
It is. It really is. And it gives you the self-confidence and the self-doubt. Like you can actually literally just wash that away.
Yeah. And the more as well, it's, it's the healing, it's the work, it's the consistency each day. It's showing up each day and being kind to yourself when you have a shitty day. Just go, because you're human. You're not going to be like, we're not robots. We're not going to be amazing every day.
No.
But just being kind to yourself and just keep doing one day at a time, one step at a time, and take the action as well, the aligned action with what you want to be doing. Because when you do that, that builds it. And it builds your inner muscles, your mindset muscles, your strength within, your confidence within yourself. So you keep the promises that you make to yourself, and you just keep showing up. And that's how we create change within. It's just a process. It'd be great if we could click a button and it was all done. But A, where's the fun in that? But B, sometimes it would be great because it's also not always fun and sexy either.
No, it's not. Yeah, sometimes I see that too. I go, well, I know what's there. It's like, is it? Well, I want it now.
Yeah,
you just got to do the work and take action to get there. And yeah, it's the thing where you said before. It's enjoying the journey and enjoying where you are. And yeah, it's important to you're where you're meant to be. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing too. Like, I used to always like think so far in the future, and it is great to have the vision. I definitely don't not have the vision, but remembering that everything happens in the now. So I always use this example because it's an easy one to do. But if you want to become a fit person and you're not fit right now, then you start being a fit person now. You be that person now. So you step into the frequency of a fit person now. Will you be all buff and, feeling on top of the world? not right now, but you are being that frequency now. So what would that person do? You would get up, you'd go for a walk, a swim, you'd eat well. So you do it from that moment. And that's how you also step into the frequency of the vision that you have for yourself.
100%. And it's the same with like money and stuff too. And it's not going to, people, this is another good topic of discussion too. People are always searching for that quick fix. Like that pill, that energy healing, that whatever it is, that therapy session, whatever it is, they're looking for that quick fix. Give me something now to fix me. You can fix yourself, but it takes work, it takes time, patience, resilience, and discipline. And it's like going to the gym too. You know, you do your reps, but it's repetition over time. You're not going to see results overnight. Well, you might, depending how quick you can heal your shit. But you just keep going, keep showing up, and just over time, you'll eventually get to where you need to be.
Absolutely. And that's the same thing with like the work that I do with the frequency shift activations. Like that is, we're activating new neural pathways, we're reprogramming our subconscious mind, and that is repetition. It's the same thing. You know, we're reprogramming what it is that we want. So while we're building our muscles at the gym, we're building our internal muscles and creating that new path for us so that we can, because we're creators. So we get to create. So what do we want to create? What do we want to create for ourselves? And when we know what we want, that is awesome too. And if we don't know what we want, don't freak out or worry about it. Get excited. The fact that you're asking, actually, I want to know what I want. So just ask your subconscious mind, hey, what is it? I want to know what I want. And then allow for things to pop up. And
that's the thing. We become so attached to that. I've been in that. So this is why I'm talking about it, because I get attached to this. I have a vision in my head where I'm like, that's how I'm getting this shiny thing. Like this house in Queensland, for example. I had one vision in my head of how we're going to get it. It actually didn't turn out the way that I had the vision. I had to let that attachment to that one outcome go, because there's multiple outcomes.
Yeah.
And that's always one of my lessons, Nereeda, is like, I get a vision of how something's going to happen, and then I come attached to that outcome. So I go somewhere and go, oh, I had a dream I was going to meet this woman just over there. And I'm standing there, I'm like, she's not here.
Yeah.
Every time. You just got to let that attachment to that one outcome go, because there's multiple ways that can happen.
Totally.
I love that.
Totally.
I don't know why I shared that then, but sometimes I'll find myself somewhere and I'll go, this is where I had my vision. Nothing's happening.
What's going on here? Yeah, totally. Yeah. But that's such a good point. It's such an awesome point, because we've all done it. We're like, this is how it's supposed to work. It's supposed to... No, like, our subconscious mind and the universe, they're way more intelligent than our conscious mind could ever be. That you gotta allow for it and have the patience, and that's, their thing. And trust, they're pearlers, things that I've had to really learn. I think, those things, when you learn to trust the signs, when you learn to allow and let things flow, you just know that it's all going to be okay. And when you do that, that's when you're aligned, and that's when you can just things just flow.
I just become so fixated on one outcome. It's always been a thing with me since I started this journey, because I always have visions of stuff, but when I tapped into it and learned that, hang on a minute, these are a bit more powerful than I thought they were, I've become so attached to that one outcome. So you sort of helped me there. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. That's cool that you have the visions too. And maybe those visions are just to give you an idea of the direction, not necessarily the outcome.
Yeah, I think you might be right. That hit home. I love my podcast. I always shift something in my podcast, so thank you for keeping the streak going.
Yeah.
Every episode I've shifted something.
Yeah. Actually, I listened to one of yours a while back, and I can't remember the guy's name, but you had this massive aha moment. I'm like, that's so cool to witness, because people can see just shifts, because shifts happen all the time. We're always shifting frequencies. And so it can just be, you're divinely where you're supposed to be in that moment. And then just one thing, it takes one thing to someone say one thing, and there you just have this shift. And it's awesome, isn't it? It's so good.
I had a shift just then, literally just then. So for anyone watching, that's how quick this can happen. And for anyone that's in Nereeda's audience that is only just tuning in now, go back and listen to all my podcasts, because every single one I've shifted something. And I think I know which chat you're talking about. It was one with Luke Belt, the astrologer, the bald guy. Was that the one you're talking about? Where I literally cried on air and he shifted something for me. Talking about fear of failure. No, not that one.
No, I've watched that one now.
That's a ripper. That one's a ripper.
Yeah.
Luke Bell. Shout out to Luke. He's an awesome guy. I'm looking forward to meeting him soon. But that podcast was special. Yeah, one of my special ones, that one.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
I thought it was that one. It must be another one.
Well, I'm pretty sure the guy had hair. But I mean, I'll put it on, have a look, and then I'll walk. So I'll just listen to the rest, if that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how long? So obviously you've started on that path, and then what got you to where you are now? Firstly, you slowly drip fed the stuff. So that's really good. I got avalanche after avalanche of stuff that I'll share later with you. So when you started processing that stuff, what was your moment where you're like, where in me does this exist? So what started the internal healing journey for you?
Yeah. Well,
was it a voice in the back of your head? Was it spirit? Was it your spirit? Was it what sort of started you off on that journey of self-healing, self-discovery?
Well, I think for me, it was that the healing and the self-discovery stuff happened first. In that I was doing more personal development stuff before I got even more down the rabbit holes.
Yeah. Okay.
So it kind of I'm doing, like, for anyone who's listening and not watching, like, a sort of circles, like, if you know what I mean. And then it just sort of sped up and to the point where I was just dive down so many rabbit holes that it just, and I think, and then I had there was a year where I just did every healing modality I could possibly do. I was just like so hungry to do even more. Like, I'd done stuff, but EFT tapping, like I've done that with people. I did Reiki, I did quantum healing, hypnosis technique.
I love
those sessions. So freaking powerful.
They are.
And there's, some things work better for others and different timing and stuff. But so it was a bit of it wasn't like just a straight road, obviously.
No.
So it was a bit of a mishmash. And then I think working for myself that 10 years allowed me to really speed up and look at stuff a lot more. Obviously, because if you were working at a corporate job looking at all this stuff on the internet, I don't know, you get in trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
So I do remember there was a moment that I watched this clip and I just had this. It actually took me about 3 days to process because it was so dark, but my soul knew that it was true. So and I think that sort of brought a few of the seeds that had been planted along the way together even more, and then that accelerated stuff from there. So I don't know if I'm answering the question very well.
No, that's all right, but I can relate to that.
I'm trying to remember you can relate.
I can relate to that, yeah.
Yeah. So and so then doing the stuff that I do now, I guess it's been a process. Like, along the way, working for myself, I've worked with people to help them set up their spiritual business. I've created courses and different things along the way. And these days, where I'm at feels really good. It feels really grounded, and it feels like, because of what I've been through, it feels expansive. And I get to work with people who are in the same place as what we are, and want to bring their big goals, dreams, and vision to life, whether it's just a way of life shift, whether it's business, whether it's writing a book, whatever it is, and that's on their heart that they want to do. That's where I get to work with these epic humans and help them bring it to life.
That's awesome. It's such powerful work, isn't it?
Yeah, it's cool and it's fun, and it's been a road as well. It's been a road.
Yeah. So, are you happy to share some of that stuff? Like, what did you go through? Are you happy to share some of that?
Well, yeah, I think for me, I've had lots of different lives. Like, I guess school, not a massive fan, was really stoked when that was sort of done. That was a bit relentless in that, I just, people back then, they wouldn't have known, but they can say things and do things that, they're hurt people. So I learned a lot about myself there. Look, I wouldn't change it though, because I'm happy. I love who I am. I love the person that I've become. But yeah, I mean, that was in my younger years. And then I worked a corporate job for pretty much as soon as I got out of high school. So and did love to give the alcohol a good crack of the sauce bottle. Did love to have a good time. And I'm sure like many, and just partied, but always working as well. So sort of like, there's all different parts of me, if that makes sense, that have come to here to now, where I'm just so excited about what's to come, because you go through, there's just, I don't even know where to go with it, because I don't. It's like, tell me more. Give me another question.
It's your story. It's your story. It's as deep as you want to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's sort of not really my place to ask these questions, but it's like, well, what happened to you on your journey to get you to where you are now? Because we all have had something to overcome big in our lives that I'll share mine with you later. It's like, well, what was the big thing you had to overcome? And it's usually the person look at you in the mirror. It's usually yourself.
It's your self-worth.
As brutal as that is,
For me, it was self-worth. Yeah. Self-worth and underlying.
But are you happy to delve into where that was taken away from you, though?
Yeah, I know for sure that it's something that's carried through, that I've had to heal for my ancestral line. I know that for sure. But it also was something that I really believed that I wasn't good enough. From a very young age, and that I wasn't deserving. And so that rippled out throughout life. And so you attract different people into your life when you think those things and believe those things. And so I've had to overcome a lot of self-worth stuff, a lot of self-doubt. And like there's so many different parts along the way. Like I said to you before we started, it's like I feel like I've had lots of lives, but I think because of where I'm at now, like I don't think about the past much. Like I think about what we're creating now. But it's been such a time that I've done that work that it feels so distant, if that makes sense as well. But in saying that, at the same time, I'm still smacked with different things along the way, because I still have the self-doubt will pop up, and still I'll have these things pop up, but that's just part of it. And you still keep going and really just being who you came here to be.
So when you went through your dark days, I know we'll talk about mine later. What did what was the one thing, like you're in that we've all had those moments where we're at our rock bottom. What was your rock bottom moment where you thought, fuck, I'm at the lowest point of my stuff? And how did you dig yourself out, or did you ask for help?
Yeah, for me, I've done a lot of work privately because of the person that I was in that, and I've had lots of mini rock bottoms, if that makes sense. It hasn't been just like one catalyst moment.
Yeah, okay.
So I've had different things along the way, and I've like slowly been, realized I was here. Then I went to another here. And that's why I think I'm so attracted to the frequency work, is because we're always vibrating at different frequencies. And I would just have different things along the way. And then I'd go 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. And so it hasn't been just one thing, but there's been lots of things, if that makes sense.
So each time, what sort of got you back on the path? So what nudged you back on there? Was it a tool? Was it someone? Was it obviously it might have been yourself, spirit? Like what?
Yeah.
what would nudge you back on the path? How would you dig yourself out of that?
Well,
journaling or something? I don't know. Writing?
Oh, yeah.
Meditating?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, obviously all the tools that I think that's what got me attracted to the personal development stuff in the first place is because,
gotcha. Yep.
And it was like, I guess for some people, it's just this one moment, and then it's so profound. It's really easy to share that one story. Whereas because for me, it was so many different things along the way. Like I can think of different times but it's just a moment. It's just, and then so that's what led me onto the personal development stuff. So I would journal, I would write, I would go to seminars, I would listen to different people. When YouTube came out, I was just all over it, listening to different things. But yeah, I mean, there's just, I feel like I haven't answered that very well. Have I? Because
it's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many things. I had stuff with my health that was a bit of I'd say, push me quicker to do what I was going to do anyway, but just sped it up, if that makes sense. And so
so obviously we all do these things. What was the one thing though that you thought, next time I'm going to do that, so then it's not as long? Like what's the one tool? I guess I probably already asked that before you didn't answer it, did you? So what was like the one tool? What was like the one thing that you would fall back to and go, okay, well, I'm here. All right. So what would you do internally, and what was the tool you would use to get yourself out of that? Like, was it meditating, journaling? Like, how'd you even come across journaling? Was it someone on a seminar, someone on a YouTube video that said, journal 5 things you're grateful for and see what happens? Like, what sort of...
I've always been a writer, so I wrote from school, but I think that was a natural thing. And I guess for me, I was a bit of a slow learner, Nath. So it's not like I'd get smacked and then go, all right, I'm getting on the straight and narrow again. Like it was just like a slow burn, like my awakening.
Yep.
It was like a slow burn. And I think, and different things would happen along the way. Well, like I've got friends, like, something happened to them, like they'd be living one way and all of a sudden something happened and they changed their whole life for the better because of that one catalyst moment, and just totally flipped. Whereas mine has just been this unraveling, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Oh, good.
Sounds like
I was worried I wasn't making sense.
Sounds like your soul, whatever it is, contract, whatever, it's like you chose to have a real slow drip feed sort of journey.
Yeah. Which has been quite painful at times. Yeah. And that's probably why you're pushing for the question too, I think, because you're like, but what was it, that one thing?
Yeah, well, obviously it wasn't that one thing. It was like multiple things.
Absolutely. It was. And I think that's great though, because for people listening, there is no one or the other way.
No, there's not.
And so that if they might be resonating with how it works for you, or they might be resonating for me, they're like, for me, it's just like this. Yeah,
it sounds like you're just like on a marathon sort of thing, aren't you?
It's been a bit of a marathon. Yeah, it has been.
Yeah, righto.
But it's had good, bad, ugly, and awesome all mushed into it.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if someone was listening to this and they've resonated with your marathon journey, what would be your advice to someone that's listening right now that's actually about to take that first step?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would just say, trust yourself and learn to love yourself for who you are. There is no one in the world who can be a better version of you than you. You are here. Like, it's just such a freaking powerful bloody soul that has come through and out of 4 trillion. What's the thing? Over the chances of being born into the body that you're in is like 1 in 4 trillion. And what you have to offer is needed. Like, we don't need to be carbon copies of each other. We need to be who we are. So trust yourself. Learn to love yourself even more. Just love the shit out of yourself because you're awesome. and just take one step at a time. You don't have to like eat the whole apple in one go. You just take one bite at a time.
I ate the apple, Nereeda.
There's going to be more apples, I can tell you.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I ate the apples. It was great.
Yeah.
Awesome piece of advice, Nereeda. It really is. I just want to touch on one thing you said in there. I actually can't remember what it was now because I got distracted by your apple comment.
Oh, no. Bring it in. Bring it in.
You said, what did you say in that thing? And then the little spiel was really, really good. It was really good advice. But you did say something I wanted to chat with you more about. Oh, yeah. The souls, that when I found that out, let's talk about this for a bit. When I found that out, that we are like one in, because I had an out-of-body experience and I've seen the souls wanting to come in, and there is like trillions upon trillions of them. And when I saw all of that in my out-of-body experience, I cried because I was grateful for the human vessel that I've inhibited for this experience. Like, when I saw how many there were, I'm like, oh my God. It completely made me so grateful to be here.
Yeah, that's so beautiful and special, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. It's like I had to see that.
Yeah. To really appreciate that. Yeah, we chose to be here at this time. We got to be here at this time. And for a lot of us, this is our last time. So, let's do it. Like, we don't want to get to the end of our lives and go, oh, I wish I had done that. I wish I had given that a crack. Like, I've always said that.
Same.
Same. Yeah. And you just got to, don't you?
I say it like you don't want to be on your deathbed looking at your family and friends in the eye and you're full of regret saying, well, I had the chance to write that book, had a chance to start that business, had a chance to start that podcast, had a chance to speak up, had a chance to live my truth, had a chance to be who I was supposed to be, but I didn't. And then you sort of you're stuck in that regret of being something you were supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like people do fear that, but then they fear being that person. So they stay where they are and end up being that person anyway.
Yeah. And that's the whole fear thing. It's the false evidence appearing real thing. And so if we notice that about ourselves and that's where we have to go, all right, I've just got to say, fuck it. I'm doing it. Like
you do.
And it's going to be scary, but remember that the feeling of like anxiety is the same feeling as excitement, and just go, okay, I'm excited right now. And just do it. Like, there's going to be things like we'll do podcasts. We're both doing podcasts. Like, there's things that we'll think, oh man, I wish I could have said that better in that moment. Or, oh, I forgot to ask that question. Doesn't matter, because you just showed up anyway. And then you just trust whatever flows through is meant to be there. And so if you're someone who doesn't want to get to your deathbed and go, what if, then bloody go.
I shift it as this. So when I see clients, Nereeda, I tell them this, and I've done videos talking about, you may have seen it in some of my content. I've said, well, why don't you flip that script and be the person that's lived the awesome life? You started the podcast, you started the business, you had X, Y, Z achieved, and you stand there, you're laying there and you're like, righto, guys, I'm guiding you into the next life. I've lived a fucking awesome life. See you later. I love you all to bits, but I love you, and I lived the life I wanted to. See you later. I'm going to guide you now onto your journey. That's where I want to be. I want to be that, not in a hospital bed either, by the way. I just want to be that guy that's sort of laying there. I'm like, right, I'm about to cross over.
Yeah.
You know what? All of my grandchildren here, I lived an awesome life. I've done everything that I wanted to do. You got the chance to do it now, and I'm going to guide you through it. So see you later. Love you.
That sounds awesome. And
Happy in my spirit, because it's going to live on forever anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I've sort of said that numerous times over in numerous different ways. That's just, wouldn't you want to be that person though, Nereeda?
Yeah, absolutely.
How much more vibrant and more happy and loving are you when you're like if you're the other person in regret, you're sort of a bit sad, a bit angry, frustrated, regretful. And then the other way, wouldn't you want to be the other way?
Yeah. Absolutely. How
cool would that be to say to your grandkid, hey, little Johnny, I'm crossing over now, mate, but I'm going to guide you to where you're going to go. And where I went was bloody awesome. So I'm looking forward to you tapping into my spirit. I love you, Johnny, but I'm off.
Yeah. See you later. Saddlebags. I'm out here.
You're going to do some cool shit, Johnny, and I'm looking forward to giving you the little breadcrumbs to keep you on your journey.
Yeah. But, and that's it. I think anyone who's listening right now will be like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do
Yeah,
it. Because
absolutely.
don't worry, you're going to fall on your face and you're going to stuff it up sometimes.
And for those out there listening and watching, if you are struggling, if you are stuck, you are lonely, sad, depressed, broke, regretful, all those things, reach out to Nereeda, reach out to me. Like, we've lived that. We're just in different versions. I'm a bit younger, but we've all lived that. And it's like, well, it is okay to ask for help. I'm not sure how old you are, but a lot of women in the older bracket and men too, and even men my age, that don't want to ask for help. It's a big one.
Yeah, and because there's a shame around it, and there's also that's just it's been passed down, whatever it might be. But when you just go, yeah, I'm doing this. That's what I love about with the people that I'm working with. It's not even asking for help. It's just being surrounded with people who are on the same page of wanting to be better versions, to align with the frequency of their highest potential, as I would say. Because that's what we came here to be. We didn't come here to half-ass our dreams, did we?
No, we didn't. We didn't come here to live in our head. We came here to live in our heart, and our heart will guide us. Like, I know the movies are bad, and most of them are, but they often say, listen to your heart, don't they? They're obviously giving a little breadcrumb of advice to listen to your heart. So
yeah, well, there's truth on so many levels. So there's good and not great in the movie. So you take what you want, but absolutely the heart is where it starts, and that's when we can live from that.
Take some words from Harley. Home is where the heart is.
Oh yeah,
I love when he says that.
Oh, he's a champion, and it's so true. Yeah, shout out to Harley. Yeah. No, he's a champion, and it's so true. We live from our heart, and we feel from there. That's where our guidance can, we 100%. Know as well. Like, is this the right thing for me? You're not thinking up here; it's here.
Yeah, 100%. And that was an awesome chin wag, as you call them, Nereeda. That was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. It was great.
Thank you so much for jumping on today. I thank you for your time. And I'll probably just finish with one more question. So if someone out there was starting their journey, so you gave the advice on what you would do, but what would be the first tool to help them? So maybe a journal, I don't know, get up and go for a walk up, go to the gym, I don't know. What would be the first tool you would just be like, try this and see if this can start you off? Yeah.
To be really honest, I would say, what does your intuition say? I would ask that person, because what works for me might not work for them. But for me, things that have helped me, definitely being out in nature, definitely journaling, definitely all the different healing modalities. But no one's path is exactly the same. So tap into what feels right for you. What are you most drawn to? And just start there. Yeah,
love that. That's an awesome way to finish. Thank you so much for your time. You have to get you to jump back on, I reckon. We have to have another couple of chin wags, I reckon.
Sounds good, Nathan.
That was a good one.
Awesome. Yeah,
that's been awesome. Thank you for listening and watching wherever in the world you are. This has been another episode of the Breaking Free podcast. I'm Nathan Francis, your host, and I'll see you guys again real soon. I'll talk to you all later. Nereeda, thank you so much again. And live your best lives for everyone out there, and always reach out and ask for help. Oh, sorry, hang on before we finish. Nereeda, where can people find you? What's the best platform, website, Instagram, email, phone?
Sure. Yep. It's nereedamckinnes.com is my website, and all of my social media handles are at Nereeda Mcinnes. So NEREEDA MCINNES for those listening.
Beautiful.
But that's, head to my website. Everything is on there.
Thank you so much, Nereeda. Now we'll finish. Thank you for listening and watching. Catch you later.